Welcome to my 2024 wrap up. I was like, oh my god, there's no way. It was just so bad. 1868. Like, the story takes a turn. I was so bored. Today I will be talking about all the books I've read in 2024. I read 40 books this year, and it was the most books I've read in a year in my life. I've never read that many books. So I'm going to be talking about them today. So let's get started. In January, I started the year with a French book. So this is Royal by Jean-Philippe Barry-Guerard. And this book basically follows a law student during his first year, I think. Honestly, it's been so long since I read that book. But we basically follow him through his first year in law school, and we see like how harsh it is and the environment that the students are in and what it can do to your mental health. And it talks a lot about heavy topics, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about the law world because I don't really know anything about it. I have a friend who studies law and she recommended that book to me, and honestly I have so much respect for her because it seems harsh. So I really enjoyed it. If you read French book, I really recommend it. I liked this author's writing. It was easy to read but also like kind of satisfying. I don't know, I don't read a lot of French book because I have a hard time connecting. I don't know why, but this one really enjoyed, so I recommend. I think I gave this 4 stars. Then I read Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. So this is the second book in the Fourth Wing like series. What's it called? The Empyrean? I think that's what it is. The Empyrean series. I think there's gonna be 5 books in there. So this was the second one. I have the sprayed edges, so you can't really see, but I annotated it. I really enjoyed that one too. It was very different though from Fourth Wing, and I didn't get the same feelings that I did in Fourth Wing. Like, Fourth Wing was unputdownable for me. I really enjoyed that book, and I was really excited for this one. And honestly, the beginning was a little slow for me and a little long, and Violet irritated me so much in that book. I was like, girl, get yourself together. Like, you have more important things to worry about than whining about certain things. But yes, I still really enjoyed it. And the end, oh my god, what happened in the end, I was so taken aback. I was like, oh my god, there's no way. And now I can't wait for the third one. It's coming out this January, I think, and I already pre-ordered it, and I will be reading it. Even though this one was not my favorite, I still prefer Fourth Wing over this one. So I give this a 4.25 stars because I really enjoyed it, but it was not my favorite, unfortunately. Then we're moving on to February. First one being, oh my god, this one I'm not gonna talk about it for a long time. It's another French book. I was really trying to read Quebec authors because that's where I'm from, but this one, it was just so bad. It was just so bad. It's called De l'ivresse et des papillons by Emily Allard. Oh my god, I do not recommend this. I felt like I could have written this in high school. It was so shallow and cringy and just I hated that book. I just wanted to finish it. It was so small, so I was like, girl, don't DNF it. Like, just finish it. It's like 126 pages. That's not even a book. Like, that's just a story. But it was just so bad. I hated this. I think I gave this 1 star. So next, I finished the Good Girl Guide to Murder series by reading As Good as Dead. I enjoyed this one, but I don't know if it's because it had been a while since I last read the second one, but I was kind of out of it a little bit. Like, I didn't really care that much, and I wasn't really in the story for this one, which is unfortunate because I really enjoyed the first 2, but honestly it was kind of slow for me, and the story took a turn I was like, oh, okay, we're going really far now, and it's kind of unrealistic. And you know, I don't really care honestly when things are unrealistic in books. Like they're not real. Like it's okay, but it was so far fetched. I was like, okay, how do you get away with that? Anyways, but I still really enjoyed it. It was entertaining, but I was kind of sad that I was not really enjoying it because I really enjoyed the first two, and this was the last one. But I still really recommend it. It's still a very good YA mystery series. Anyways, so yeah, I still enjoyed it, but it was not my favorite, unfortunately. I think I gave this 3.5 stars. And then I read Divine Rivals. Oh my goodness. I really loved that book. I read this in February, and I just remember reading it outside. There was still snow on the ground, but the sun was shining, and I was just reading this, and I was smelling the fresh winter air, and it was just so atmospheric. I don't know if it's just the setting, but this book was so good. The writing in it was amazing. I annotated it a lot because I really enjoyed the writing, and there were so many quotable parts in this. But in this one we follow, oh, there's a ruler in my book. Okay. In this one we follow Iris and Roman, and they are both writers, write stories, okay? And they are rivals. And basically, I think Iris discovered like this typewriter that her grandmother had, and she discovers that it's magic, and that once she writes, it writes back. But what she doesn't know is that it's Roman who's writing back, because he has like the sister typewriter, and he's responding to her, and he knows it's her, but she doesn't know it's him. And they kind of get to know each other through these letters. Oh my god, it was so good. It was so heartwarming, and just it was really good. I really enjoyed that book a lot. And I have the second one on my TBR, and honestly I don't know why I've put it off for so long, but I'm gonna read it. Don't worry, I'm really excited actually. It's just that I've heard reviews that it's kind of slower, and we don't really get romance in it, and it's more like the war, and that kind of scared me. But you know, I'm gonna have to form my own opinion on this. So yes, Divine Rivals, amazing. I think I gave this 5 stars. And then to finish the month, I read my first classic, Little Women, and I fell in love with that story like so hard. I really didn't think I was gonna enjoy it that much. Like in my head I was like, this is a classic, it's gonna be kind of long to read because it's kind of more difficult English is not my first language, so like the old English in this, like it took me a while to read, but oh my god, did I have a good time. So basically we follow is it 4 sisters? There's Jo, there's Beth, there's Jo, there's Meg, and there's Amy. 4 sisters that we just kind of follow them through their lives and the relationship they form, and we just kind of we learn about them. It's more like a day-to-day, we kind of follow them through their lives, but oh my god, is it good. And honestly, like, look, I don't know if you can see all the quotes, but there are so many passages in there that I wanted to annotate because I really related to them, and they just made me feel something. And I was just like, the fact that I related to some of the things that were said in here in 2024, and this was written in like 1868. This woman wrote this book in 1868, and there's some things in there that I relate to. I really recommend this book. I will never stop talking about it. And also the movie with Timothée Chalamet in it, watch it. It's the most beautiful movie I've ever seen. It's my favorite movie of all time. Watch it, it's amazing. I really love, obviously this is a 5-star, and it really ended my month extremely well. Now moving on to March. In March I read 3 books, starting with Flawless by Elsie Silver. So I started this series in March. What is this series? This is the Chestnut Springs series, and I was really pleasantly surprised by this. This is a cowboy romance, small town cowboy romance, kind of like all the things, no, the things we never got over, kind of the same vibe, but make it country, like cowboy. And in here we follow Reth, I don't know how to say his name, and Summer. We follow this couple. Summer is the daughter of Reed's boss, if I could say. And Reed is a bull rider, and her dad, Summer, forces her to be Reed's assistant, if I'm remembering it well. And they're kind of forced to be together, so it's like a forced proximity romance, and you know, things unravel from there. I really enjoyed it. It was a very easy read. I read it really quickly, and it's just a fun small town romance. Like I eat those up every time. Like I gave this 3.5 stars. And then I read one of my most anticipated read of 2024, which is Magnolia Park, Into the Dark. I think this is my favorite book of the year. I'm so emotionally attached to these characters, and like, look at this book. First of all, like, are you kidding me? This is the most beautiful book I've ever seen. And then look at all the annotations. Like, this is crazy. And I swear to God, if I open a page and read a quote, it's gonna be just amazing. It's magic, like the best kind of magic. Phosphorus in the water kind of magic. Northern lights kind of magic. You know, like blue lava, frost flowers, shooting stars, that kind of magic. Proper, real magic. This is the last book that follows Magnolia and BJ, and you know, it was just really closed off their story really well. Obviously, I could read about these characters for like books and books and books and books. Like, she could write them till she dies, and I would read them. But you know, Magnolia, she goes through really hard things in this one. It talks a lot about grief. It's hard, and the way Jessa Hastings talks about it was really, like, it really showed exactly how she was feeling, like how she wrote it. It's so descriptive, but also like the metaphors that she uses are perfect to explain to you like how she feels, like you really understand them. I think he's talking about grief, and that's how he explains grief. The metaphor is about drowning. So drowning is drowning. Some people might be drowning for longer than others. Some drowning might put you on a whole new path once you're through it. Sometimes it might change how your brain works if you're cut off from oxygen for long enough. Could even cost you your life. The severity of the drowning incident might be scalable, but the drowning itself, the grief itself, it's all water you can't breathe in. I'm really looking forward to the next book in the Daisy Hates series, but I fear I will never love a Daisy Hate books as much as I love a Magnolia Parks books. Boy, was it heartbreaking, and just, I cried like the first 20 pages in, like I was crying already, and I don't know, I will always recommend these books. They're just amazing. And then I read another classic, which is Animal Farm by George Orwell. This one, I mean, I think it was well written, and it's like one big, huge metaphor for society. Like, it's a farm, there's animal on the farm, and then they're kind of dictated by the farmer, and then the farmer dies, and they kind of take over the farm, but there's still like hierarchy that aren't being put in place. Like, the pigs are at the top because they're the smartest, and you're just kind of following them while they try to take over the farm and run it by themselves. But obviously there's some inequalities, and there's still like, it's really just like a talk on society, but represented by farm animals. and I enjoyed it, but I was also really fucking bored all throughout the book. Like, I felt like I was reading a book for school and I had to write a dissertation on it afterwards, and I just really wanted to be done with this. It was not for me. I gave this like a 2.5 stars, but it doesn't speak on the topic. It's just that it was boring for me. It was just boring for me. In April, I started the Throne of Glass series by reading The Assassin's Blades first and then Throne of Glass. This was the start of an amazing journey, an amazing reading journey. Not Throne of Glass, The Assassin's Blade, Chef's Kiss. I love that book so much, and I really liked that I read it first because it made so much more sense to me to know the lore, you know, to know what happened before and why it happened, because throughout the book there's references to this book, the people that we meet in this book, and I feel like if you didn't read this before, it would kind of not hit the same. Like, I Will Die on That Hill, you should read The Assassin's Blades first. They're like a bunch of short stories of Selena's life before this book happened. It was amazing, and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave this 4.5 stars. I'm gonna talk about the whole series right now because I read it through, I started it in April and then finished it in December, but I read it sparingly through these months. But I feel like these books are completely different from these books. Like, the story takes a turn so much. I still enjoy them all very much, thoroughly. I talked about these more about another video that I made. It's a reading vlog of Kingdom of Ash that I just finished 3 days ago. Anyways, I talk about it more, but just trust me when I say this is an excellent fantasy series, and I really recommend it. You should really try it. I think I'm a Throne of Glass girly. 4.5, 4.25. I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed this. Then in April, I read The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. It was my first book by her. I heard amazing things about this book, so I really wanted to try it for myself, and I was pleasantly surprised. I annotated it. Like, the quotes in this are just amazing, and her writing is, I don't want to say poetic, but I don't know, it was different. Like, this is a romance book, and her writing was just so much more complex than the other romance books that I've read, and I really enjoyed this one. This is basically like a girl that her grandmother died, and she leaves her apartment, but the girl discovers that the apartment is actually magic and it travels back in time. She never knows when it's gonna go back, like when she's gonna open the door and she's gonna be back in time, and then one day she's back in time and she meets this boy who her grandma back in the day had lent the apartment to for like the summer or something, and so she kind of has to live with him. But then the next day when she leaves and comes back, she's back in the present, and so he's gone. I really enjoyed that one, and I think I gave this 5 stars. And then to finish the month of April, I read Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. This is the last book in the Knock 'em Out series. Knock 'em Out. I liked it, but honestly I was so detached from it. Like, I didn't really care what happened in that book. I don't know if it's because I again read those books a long time ago, but it was just not my favorite. A lot of people were waiting for the Sloane and what's his name and Lucian story. I wasn't really. I was stuck on them, you know. Things We Never Got Over, that's who I loved, but still really enjoyed it. But I was glad to be finished with this series. I've had this series unfinished for so long, so it was really satisfying to just put this on the shelf. It was really more of a lusty relationship than an emotional one. That's how I perceived it, and that's less of what I like. I like spice in books, don't get me wrong, but it was good. I liked it. I gave this a 3.75 stars. Still a really good rating if you ask me. Then in May I read Crown of Midnight, which I just talked about the Throne of Glass series, so I'm not gonna say much. It was really good. I gave it 4.5 stars. And then I read, I read the powerful novella in the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts, and oh my god, did this story crush my heart. We're following Adina, who is Peyton's best friend and also like her seamstress, is that how we say it? She makes dresses for her during the competition in the first book, and this is her story. If you've read Powerless, you know this is just a sad book, but it was so beautiful. Honestly, I have a hard time getting attached to like a couple through novellas, because I mean, we're in this story for what, 200 pages? Yeah, basically. Like 200 pages to fall in love, that's just kind of, that's short for me. But in this one, she really did it. Like, it was so good. I cried, and the romance was just so cute and heartwarming. It was just so good and so sad. Like, we got her point of view of what happens in the end, and it destroyed me. I gave this 5 stars. Like, it was just so good. I had a great time reading it. I didn't want to put it down. I just wanted to read it in one sitting. I think there's a quote in here. He says, "I would have waited another 19 years if it meant you were the first good memory I was gifted." What? And then to finish the month, I read The Unfortunate Side Effect of Heartbreak and Magic by Brienne Randall. I don't know why I felt in a witchy mood in May, because I never feel like in a witchy mood in May. Like, it's summer. May is like the beginning of summer. It's not. It's still spring, but you feel like you want it to be summer. Still read that. It was okay. Like, I think I gave this 3 stars. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I read it in the fall, because this is a very atmospheric book. It talked about Halloween, the pumpkin spice, and she runs a cafe with her grandmother, and like she's kind of talking about all the little pastries she's making, and it's very autumnal. And there's also like recipes at the beginning of each chapter, which I thought was really fun. You know, it was kind of just average. It's not my favorite book of the year, but it was okay. We're moving on to June. I read my very first Abby Jimenez book, which is Part of Your World. And oh my god, this was so good. This is also kind of small town romance, but not really. Like, he lives in a small town, she lives in a city. She's a doctor. He owns like an inn that he got from his family, and from very different worlds, different families, and they live kind of far away. I like that the third act, it's not a third act breakup, but the problem is kind of understandable, and I understand why there's this issue in like the end of the book. But I also really liked how it was resolved. It was realistic, and yes, I really enjoyed it. It didn't annoy me. Like, sometimes the third breakup, it just annoys me because it's just miscommunication, and I'm just like, just talk to each other. But it wasn't that in this one, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked her writing. And then, oh my god, one of my favorite books of the year, which I think is a unpopular opinion, but I read Never by Jessa Hastings. Look at this. Annotated to the max. I loved that book. I read it so fast, I couldn't put it down. I just wanted to know what was gonna happen. And even though Peter annoyed the shit out of me because he was just a stupid fucking boy, I still really liked it. Like, I really enjoyed it. The writing, Jessa Hastings' writing just never disappoints. It's so good. That's why there's so many annotations in here. I was kind of frustrated with the end because there's a little bit of miscommunication at the end, and I was like, it's annoying, but I really am excited for the next one. I hope there's the next one. And look at this cover. This is beautiful. Anyways, I really enjoyed that book. I gave it 5 stars. This is also an unpopular opinion. I read The Silent Patient, and was disappointed. Like I think it's because this book was so highly talked about that I was expecting so much from it, and honestly, like, the plot twist did get me. Like, I was shook. Okay, I was like it got to me, but it took me all of the book to have the plot twist. I was so bored, so bored throughout the whole book. I found it so boring. I don't know why. I can't tell you. It felt like nothing was happening, and then everything happened at the end, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess. But I was bored for 80% of it, so gave it a 3 stars. And then we're moving on to July. In July, I read Reckless by Lauren Roberts, which is the second book in the Powerless series. And I think, like, you probably heard, this really read like a filler book. It was kind of the same thing happening over and over and over again, kind of a cat and mouse thing. But personally, didn't mind it. I just liked that the stakes were a little less high. Like, they were high, but they were less high than I thought they would be. And I liked the banter between Peyton and Kai, and I annotated it a lot because I really enjoyed it. Honestly, I had fun reading it. I know the third one would be better though. Like, I know this is not my favorite. I like Powerless way more, and I feel like not much happened in this one. It was just kind of always the same thing happening over and over again. But plot twist at the end, I was shook. I was like, oh no, how, why? I'm excited for the next one. I gave this 4.25 stars. And then, because I enjoyed Part of Your World so much, I decided to read Yours Truly, which is like the second book in the same kind of universe. It's like an interconnected series. It's also connected with Just for the Summer, which I haven't read yet, but read Yours Truly and annotated it because I really enjoyed it. This talks a lot about anxiety. The anxiety representation in this one was to a T. Like, I deal with social anxiety and anxiety in general, and I related to the character in this book that has anxiety so much. Honestly, like, I teared up a couple times because I felt so not understood that I cried a little bit. But the romance at the end, like, something happens with the romance, and it was just kind of annoying. Honestly, it annoyed me a little bit. Abby Jimenez has great writing, easy writing, and it just flows really well. And yes, I really enjoyed that one. I gave it 4.75 stars. Moving on to August. In August, I read another French book, which is Tant que ce sera l'été by Marianne Brisebois. And it talks about two teenagers who escaped a cult. And they're trying to, I mean, they're not really teenagers. They're like young adults. And they escaped, and now they're trying to learn how to live like normal people. But honestly, I think it wasn't for me. It's kind of a romance, but not really a romance. I don't know. It was weird. The things that happened in there were weird, but honestly, I think it was normal because obviously the two characters that we follow, I mean, there's a lot of trauma there, and it was a weird cult, so they're kind of acting weird and we're trying to unlearn those habits. But sometimes it's, you know, it's difficult because that's all they've ever known. But it was just not my favorite. I didn't really enjoy it. And there's like a second one in this, but I don't think I would read it. I gave it 3 stars though. Then I read The Kiss Curse during a 24-hour readathon that I did with my friends. I read it in one day. It was very enjoyable. Honestly, like, at the end of August, I'm always in the fall mood, so that was perfect. Very atmospheric. I liked the couple. I liked the story. Very fall. Like, if you want a fall book, read these. Like, read these. Like, they're not like the best book you will ever read in your life, but they're perfect for fall. I gave that book 3 stars. And then to finish the month, I read the second book in the Chestnut Springs series, which is Heartless. And we follow Cade and Willa. And oh my god, did I love Willa? I loved Willa. She's so funny. She's like, I love the interaction she had with the kid, because it's like a single father trope. Kate has a kid and she's kind of the nanny for the summer, and that's like close proximity. She lives in the house with them and she has to take care of his son, and they became really close, and I really liked the kid. He was adorable, and the story was just very good. I gave this 4 stars? No, 3.75 stars. Love Cade. People call him Daddy Cade for a reason. And then I also read Queen of Shadows from the Throne of Glass series, but we've talked about that already. And I gave that one 5 stars. And then comes the fall reading. We start September with Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and I honestly really enjoyed that one too. It was my first wolf and vampire universe. I mean, I've read Twilight. I liked it. It was kind of weird, like something happens in there that I was kind of like, was this necessary? But I guess it is, because it's part of the lore, I guess. Yeah, really enjoyed the romance. There was also like a mystery plot in there, which I liked. It didn't feel like too, because sometimes when there's romance and then a mystery, the mystery kind of falls flat by the middle of the book and we just don't talk about it anymore. But we really did see it through till the end, and I really enjoyed it. I love vampire werewolf stories. I love Twilight, so I knew I was gonna like it. I gave it 4.5 stars. And then I read The Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storm tandem read. Boy, was this like a whole adventure. Like this was the hardest thing I've ever done, because I wanted to read all of this in like a month. I read also 2 more books in that month plus these ones, and like I felt proud of myself for reading these, and I really enjoyed doing the tandem. I couldn't imagine reading this differently. I really enjoyed Tower of Dawn, even though it is like a slower paced book. I still really enjoyed the story in it, and honestly I wasn't really that bored. Obviously this one was more entertaining, but I really enjoyed it. Honestly, I gave this 4.5 stars. Like, I really enjoyed Tower of Dawn. I don't know why. We learned so many things, and I love Irene. I love Irene. Obviously, Empire of Storm, it was amazing. This was kind of like rallying allies. And, you know, I really enjoyed it. The end was absolutely heartbreaking. Like, it's just a shock. The end was a shock and really set for the next book, and I really enjoyed doing the tandem. I really recommend it. I don't think you should read it any other way. Tower of Dawn I gave 5 stars. No, Empire of Storm I gave 5 stars. And then to finish the month I read another classic, which is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I also annotated that one. I didn't enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed Little Women, but I really liked it nonetheless. I was expecting a little bit more romance. I thought there was gonna be more interactions between the 2 main characters. Like, there is, but not as much as I thought there was gonna be. Like, they're not together for a big part of the book. Like, I mean, not together, like they don't see each other. So I kind of would have wanted to see them more. I really wanted to see them interact more, but still, the yearning. Like, let me read this. That's Mr. Darcy. I cannot fix on the hour or the spot or the look or the words which laid the foundation. It is too long ago. I was in the middle before I knew I had begun. He's talking about when he fell in love with her. Like, it's beautiful. And then I saw the movie, and the movie was excellent. I loved the movie. It really made me love the book more, because the story was just illustrated perfectly to me. The cinematography in that book, wow. It's not the book, in the movie, amazing. I really recommend the movie. I give this 3.5 stars. Now moving on to October, we really read a lot of witchy fantasy books that month, starting with Heartless Hunter, which is a romance between a witch hunter and a witch, but the witch is kind of, you know, she's undercover as a witch hater, but she's actually a missionary trying to help witches out of the city so the witch hunters don't kill them. And so she's trying to date the witch hunter to trying to get information from him, and he's trying to date her because he suspects she's a witch, so he wants to get information on her. And there's like a romance going in there, and I really enjoyed that one. It was so fast-paced. I'm really excited for the next one, Rebel Witch, and I heard it's really good, so I'm excited. What happens in the end was also crazy. Oh my god, it was so good. I really recommend it. I gave this 5 stars. I read Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I enjoyed that one, but obviously like it was more like physical attraction kind of thing, which is fine. I enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite Ali Hazelwood book. He ends up trying to take over her company, and then she doesn't want to, and then it's like a workplace romance kind of thing. I enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite Ali Hazelwood book, and I give this 3.5 stars. Then I read One Dark Window by Rachel Gilligs. Oh my god, was that so good. Look at the annotations, so pretty. I really enjoyed that book. Oh my god. What I enjoyed the most was the magic system. They're like cards. They're like playing cards. If you have the card, you kind of have the magic in it. Give it 4.5 stars. And then I read How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. That book was weird. That book, I mean, I gave it 4 stars. Like I enjoyed it. But did I? Like, so many weird things happened in that book, and I was just like, ew, like what the fuck? Like she's like stuck in a cell with like a weird like creature, and he talks and says things that are really weird, and he does things that are really disgusting, and I was just like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? But I enjoyed the romance, and the end was also really surprising, and it got me, and it made me want to read the second book, which is What Did You Do? So yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but at the end I was like, did I enjoy this, or was this just really weird and entertaining? But I did enjoy it, but some things are really weird in that book. It's what wraps up our October month, and then we go into November, which was a weird reading month. I read a book for school, which I counted, but we're not going to talk about it because it was really boring. I read also White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. It's also a classic, I think, and it's 128 pages. Like, it's a short story, and I liked it, but the end, I didn't think it was going to end like this, and I was just like, oh, like I was disappointed, but it was a good story. And I finished off the month with A Little Life. Oh my god, this is so much trauma put in one book, but look at this. I don't think I've ever annotated a book that much. This and the last Magnolia Park book are the most annotated books I have, I think. This was, wow. This was, I have no words. I can't recommend you to read this because it's very hard to read, because it's very graphic, and the author just doesn't shy away from saying things how they truly are. But as much as I cried tears of sadness, I also cried tears of happiness. So I mean, this is a 5-star book for me. I really love that book. The writing is incredible, and I've never been as attached to character I think I've been in my life. Like, they really felt like real characters, and you basically follow 3 guys through their lives in New York City and learn about their history and what happened to them in their lives. And there's like one character that you follow more than the other, and his name is Jude, and that's the person whose life has been the hardest. It's a beautiful yet horrible book. That's how I would describe this, but love it. If I think about it too much, I will cry again. Last month, December, I started with Powerless by Elsie Silver, which is the 3rd book in the Just That Spring series. I really enjoyed that one. it was different than I thought it was gonna be. Like, we followed Jasper and Sloane being like the cousin and the whole thing, and then Jasper is like the adopted brother. Jasper is like a hockey player, and Sloane is a ballerina, and she has kind of a rich family, which is very superficial, and her dad only thinks about money, and he's trying to marry her off to another wealthy guy to like seal a deal or something, but the guy is just pure shit. And then there's Jasper, who's always been friends with Sloane. They're really close. He comes to like the wedding rehearsal night, and he hates the guy, and he's like, what are you doing with him? And she goes back to Chestnut Springs with Jasper, and they kind of have to go on a road trip, and then, you know, they start talking about their feelings, and I enjoyed it. It was really good. I gave it 3.75 stars. But we saw a little bit of the two characters for the next book, which is Reckless, I think. And I'm really excited about that one. I heard a lot of people love this one, and I also am very excited about it. I think it's Winter and Theo. I think it's Winter and Theo, and I'm so excited for it. And then I read The Wedding Witch, which I don't have with me right now because I have to order it. I read it on my Kindle. It's The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling, which is in the same universe as these two books. The Yule Holiday, which is like the witch Christmas. I don't know. But they kind of go back in time, and they have to figure out something back in time so they can come back in the present day, and that's basically what happens. But there's also a love story through it. I enjoyed it. It was okay. Kind of insta-lovey, but honestly, I don't really mind that. But it was not my favorite. I enjoyed the Yule setting. It was kind of Christmassy, and it put me a little bit in the holiday spirits. I enjoyed it. It was 3 stars. Then I finished up the year with Kingdom of Ash, which, if you want my full opinions and thoughts on this, it's gonna be in a reading vlog, so I'm not gonna say much. I'm just gonna say that it's my favorite in the series. I gave it 5 stars. So many plot twists, so many things being linked together, and just the brain that this author has is amazing. I've never seen anything like it before, and the world that she's created was just, it's amazing, and I love it. And yep, that's the last book I read in 2024. That is it for all the books that I've read in 2024. This is my wrap-up. I've read a number of 40 books this year, which was my reading goal, so I hit it right at the end of the year. I think I'm gonna set it again to 40 because it seems like a good number. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments which books that I've read that you've read, and if you like them or not, and also if you have recommendations for me that are related to the books that I've talked about that you think I would enjoy. Please tell me. I would love to try them out. And yes, so please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one.